Rey then attempts to kill Snoke again, but she's flung across the room by a small movement of his finger. In response, Snoke then tells Kylo Ren to kill Rey and complete his training, which now answers that cliffhanger in Force Awakens as well.
It is time to complete his training.
Apparently, complete your training just meant that he wanted Kylo to kill Rey, which he couldn't do until Rey decided on her own volition to actually come to Snoke. Look, I know it seems unlikely that this film could have this many tiny and massive problems running throughout it, but it really does. Not to mention that I simply cannot cover everything. I've been reading through many of the comments you guys have left, and I've actually missed several plot holes already in the first and second videos. There are several inconsistencies within inconsistencies. There are problems everywhere. It's just a hemorrhage. It is practically impossible, but I'm doing the best I can. Rey tried to convince Kylo not to kill her, and then Snoke says several lines in a row. I cannot be betrayed. I cannot be beaten. I see his mind. I see his every intent. I see him turning the lightsaber to strike true. And now he ignites it and kills his true enemy. Then Kylo ignites the lightsaber. But it was the one that Snoke had on his armrest and chops Snoke in half. Snoke is dead. They even have a reaction shot of his body much later with his tongue hanging out. They have killed this extremely powerful creature without providing any context to who he is, where he came from, or what his motivation was. Snoke is simply gone. Let's review. For all intents and purposes, Snoke is omniscient and omnipotent. This is proven with the mind reading and the transport info and the connections of two Force-sensitive people across the galaxy in conjunction with spouting lightning and slamming people across rooms with little to no effort while sometimes being only a hologram. He knows everything that is going to happen, and he has existed for potentially countless years. And yet, Kylo killed him that easily, practically humiliating this monster without setting it up whatsoever. I want to immediately get it out of the way that some people think that he's not actually dead. This review, or analysis, is going to assume that he is. I'm not going to entertain the idea that Snoke is not dead until episode 9, because as far as this film alone is concerned, Snoke is dead. However, the overall positive response to this whole thing goes like this. I like that they did this with Snoke, as the story is not about him. The story is about Kylo and Rey. We didn't need to know anything about Snoke. He's just some guy who was powerful and he overstepped his confidence with Kylo and now he's dead for it. This is a subversion of your expectation, and that's why you do not like it. Let's tackle the subversion part first. Is it subversive to invent an all-powerful leader to have them die very quickly and easily to introduce a different main villain? I suppose it is. I won't take that away from anyone, but can it be done badly? Snoke was given small amounts of screen time in the first film, implying that he is safely secured and puppeteering events while staying hidden. It is this setup that is provided for Rian Johnson, and he could do whatever he wanted with the material. He decided to make Snoke extremely intelligent as well as extremely powerful. More powerful than anything we've seen in the main series before, including Vader. This character rose to power and commands the new and arguably improved Empire. Now, I've already gone over the world building and its issues, but this would be another opportunity to explain it. Did Snoke rise to power once Palpatine was defeated? Was he trained by Palpatine? Was Palpatine trained by him? Is he even a Sith? Was he afraid of Palpatine? Does he hate the Jedi? Does he simply want to take over the world? How did he manipulate his way to the top? Did he always have this army? Why did the First Order army look just like the Empire's army if it's a separate thing? Is it separate? I know that a lot of people have already established that the Sith are not actually a thing in this new trilogy, that Kylo and Snoke are not them, they simply use the dark side of the Force. But to be honest, are there any guidelines for this? It seems to be that if you have the Force and you use it to save people, you're a Jedi, and if you use it to kill people, you're pretty much a Sith. Let's not quibble too much over the title. Anyway, we have absolutely no information about the history of Snoke, the motivation of Snoke, and the relation Snoke has to the universe or its characters. Then we are left to assume that he is an invention, a simple invention to behave as an antagonist. Of course, everything is an invention in fiction, but we're not supposed to think that from the story being told. Can you say the same about Palpatine? No, you can't. Not only did Palpatine have so much more flesh in the originals than Snoke in terms of goals and presence, but thanks to the prequels it is a fully realized character. The story of his rise to power and subsequent fall may be clunkily written, and it has plenty of flaws. But it's not nothing. Snoke is now nothing. Just the most powerful being in the universe that was previously unmentioned and now is gone. Is it a subversion to kill a powerful character made to be the villain early, and for it to be at the hands of Kylo Ren? Yes. Is it horribly executed in this movie? Absolutely. Snoke can barely be considered writing, just a lazy springboard for Kylo, and that is fundamentally disappointing for such a rich world with interesting characters. There are theories, like I said, saying that Snoke is not dead and that this was training he had talked about completing with Kylo. It is a clone or an apparition, and that he will return despite the shot of his tongue hanging out. As per usual, people trying to make a good story out of this awful one, doing the writing for the writer, please stop. Though I could really assume that J.J. Abrams might actually use that idea, since he was the one who made Snoke and probably actually had some interesting ideas for him, whether or not he made them public. Anyway, how about another nitpick? It is now established that Snoke can read everyone's minds with ease, apparently. Yet in the opening scene, Kylo says he didn't hesitate when killing Han Solo, and Snoke has no problem with this. Despite that, we know that Kylo had huge reservations about doing it. Why didn't Snoke see that? Snoke should know that Kylo was absolutely veering to the light side during that scene.
I'm being torn apart. I want to be free of this pain.
Apparently Snoke just couldn't see this. Writing is hard, isn't it? The sad reality when thinking about this as well is that Kylo is not getting any more history. We had an extremely lackluster recanting of events from Luke that shoved 30 years into 1 minute, and it was a nonsensical minute too. But now we have the exact same from the other half of Kylo's teachers. Snoke has told us nothing about Kylo's past and what helped him turn over. Why did Kylo so aggressively follow the dark side? What did Kylo stand to gain from the dark side? Did Snoke ever confront any of the characters in Kylo's life? Did Luke even try to get Kylo back? What was Han and Leia's involvement with this? What does dark side training look like? What does it teach? What happened to the Knights of Ren? What happened to the students that left with Kylo? We get nothing meaningful, nothing in terms of storytelling, just flashy lights and cute animals.